Hi.
Hi.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Deep Dives in the Desert. We are sharing with you our trip to Arizona, where we got to meet our very special friend, Solreta Antaria, and we had a nice conversation with her while we were there.
Yeah, it was very, I would say there was a lot of topics that were discussed, and it was really interesting getting her perspective. And it was the main reason why we actually drove down to Arizona.
Yeah, it was to see her. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was your first time meeting her. We've both known her for years, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that was the first time you actually got to physically be around her. What'd you think?
Yeah. I had all these high expectations, I got to say, of when I would meet her in person, because in every meeting I had with her, she's just been just a beautiful person. And so I had these high expectations, and I always get nervous because I'm like, what if I meet them in person and they're not as nice as I thought they were going to be? And I got to say, she exceeded any expectation I could have put out there. And she really is what you see over the YouTube or wherever you're watching her. That's how she is in real life. She's just a beautiful person, and she tries to do the right thing with everybody all the time. And it was just what a great experience. And to be honest, she had me buzzing right away.
Right, that's what you said. You got in the car.
Yeah.
And you were like, wait, whoa, do you feel that? And I said, I told you when you're around Sol that you just count on that she's gonna.
Yeah, I think she keeps her frequency really high, I think, and which is a great behavior to have.
Yeah.
But you really feel it when you meet her. And when I gave her a hug hello, I was like, oh my God, it's like you really feel she really impacts her environment around her. So it was pretty special.
She's amazing, and I'm so glad that we got to spend that time, and we really got more time with her than we were kind of thinking we were going to end up getting. And we got to spend probably 9 hours with her the first day. And then how many do you think the second day we were with her?
Oh, what, probably four or 5 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, but what's great
short, but
but what's crazy is if we probably lived in the same town, we'd be in passing, and for some reason, you don't spend that quality time with somebody.
Yeah.
But because she was here from Australia, and we went to go meet her, the 9 hours that we spent with her were really quality time.
So we had a nice discussion, and we're sharing that with you guys now. And it was really interesting to kind of hear her perspective on some things. So we hope you enjoy this.
And well, with her, you know what, Bo, I'd always like to say in the beginning, didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay.
But you can catch her on
Solreta Antaria on YouTube. She's got her own channel there.
And then also with the beautiful girls over at Maison Jupiter.
Yeah.
And she does what show?
She does the Galactic show over there. And then she also will co-host their Divine Feminine Rebirth show, which is really good and interesting. If you haven't seen the girls over there, they do amazing stuff with astrology and tarot and just all kinds of stuff. Every show is really good, and they have meditations and so on. So it's a really, really nice place for her to be. I'm happy that she kind of landed over there too. So
right, that's great for her.
Yeah. So I hope you enjoy.
Yes,
and this is our conversation with our beautiful friend,
Solreta Antaria. Well, hi everybody. This is John and Lisa DiMartino from Deep Dives in the Desert, and we are in Arizona. We're in Sedona, and now we're in Peoria, and we came here specifically to this part to meet our wonderful friend Solreta Antaria, and she has a YouTube channel that is rather amazing. So if you look her up, you'll see some of the work she does. And just over the years, we've really become good friends. And she is all the way in from Australia, so welcome, Sol. And and so I know Lisa is massively excited, even more so than me, because her and Sol have created this bond of sisterhood that is really incredible, since it takes Sol about 24 hours to even get to America. So it's pretty amazing that we're able to make this happen. And And yeah, it's just been really great to meet you in person. And so, what do you think about everything that you've done so far here in America? I know you've been here a few times, but what has your trip been like here? And
well, I'm just so grateful to be here with you guys and to have had yesterday with you, and then this morning as well. And yeah, there's nothing like meeting in person.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to meet Lisa and 2 of her kids last time, Emma being one that you guys know about too. But yeah, I've got to experience so much, and exploring my roots and my American ancestry and connection has been so much fun. So went out to Monument Valley, to the Navajo Nation, connected with my grandfather's roots there, and just feeling the land and the energy of the land speak to me. That was just amazing. And doing a sunrise tour with one of my best friends. We then also went to Sedona and went on a tour with a gorgeous woman called Vishali. Shout out to Vishali's tours. She was just beautiful, taking us to certain points that have like a energy where you tap in, and then another energy where you let go and release. And it was interesting. The intention that I had for this was to let go of different things that I no longer need, and to really start to step into more who I'm becoming. And I think, we're all feeling that change. We're all feeling that shift into that something new is coming. And especially now with the election results, I think we're feeling that extra. But yeah, I got to go shooting and found out I'm a good shot, left and right hand. So ambidextrous.
She's a really good shot, so be very careful.
Yeah. Just catching up with friends, and I went to Mexico, which was amazing. I went out on a boat cruise and did parasailing. So just having such an amazing time. But, it's the people that I keep coming back for, and soul family like yourselves that just make it extra special. And, part of me feels a real big connection to America. It does feel like a second home for me. Yeah. And I can't wait for you guys to come to my home one day in Australia.
Yes, I really want to come over there. I want to kind of box a kangaroo and do all those wonderful things.
We were watching videos earlier, and we were talking about kangaroos, and John pulled up a video about a kangaroo like headlocked with a dog, and he was showing us like the owner like boxed him. But anyway, it was just funny. But I know you were here at a pivotal time, in America, but also for the world. Yeah. And, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, my sister is a little bit jealous, as I was telling you guys, because I was here for Halloween, which is just another level compared to the minimal amount of Halloween that we have back home. Walking just a few doors down from where I'm staying, and there's a dad dressed up in a mask, in overalls with a chainsaw, without the blades on, chasing these kids, and they're like screaming and they're loving it. And the family had set up a haunted house tour for the local neighborhood kids. But just such a feeling of safety. This is such a beautiful area here in Arizona where I'm staying. It feels so safe. And I think there's a lot of misconception about what Australians think that America is. And I know some of my friends that I went shooting with, they're like, oh, what's this Aussie girl going to think, about our guns? Is she going to be like, oh, don't have guns and things like that? But yeah, I think those of us that have been awake for long enough on the journey definitely see the difference between our country not having any way to defend themselves, or if we went to civil war, we'd be stuffed, as we say in Australia.
Yeah, and also, and growing up where I grew up, most of the guns that were on the street were not legal anyhow.
Yeah.
And so they are going to have guns no matter what. And, where I grew up, luckily they weren't into robbing houses and stuff, but that's where most of the criminals did have guns. And so when you look at some of these places where people who are going to come into your house, God forbid if they have a gun, and you don't, you're going to have a real problem on your hands. Also, but if you look at London, where the cops don't even have guns, but you look and you see what their knife crime is like, there are people that do talk honestly about it, and they say, like, when they go out, they wouldn't wear a watch that they would wear just even in a different part of England. They won't wear a watch because they know that someone will take out a machete and cut and do some damage. But so what we find out, it's really not the weapon, but it's the human being and the intention behind it. And everyone should have the ability to protect their loved ones to whatever capacity they feel they need to in order to protect their lives. Yeah. And that's just how I feel about it.
And I agree. And, we look at the tyrannical government back home too, and perhaps that wouldn't have happened. I hear stories here from, people showing up to defend different businesses. And we're seeing total financial collapse back home because everyone was forced to shut their businesses down. There was those that worked out tricky ways around it, which I'm really proud of, for back home. It did bring people together as an awakened community. But I was so excited to be here for the election and, to be feeling what it feels like in the country as we're going through this huge change. And it brings a lot of hope to awake people in Australia that hopefully things will then change and roll on down and affect our country with people really speaking out in numbers and coming together. I'm so excited. And as we were saying before, it's just, hoping and praying and surrounding and protection for the next couple of months that,
around the president.
Things come into...
Lisa and I, anyone would say, hey, did you watch the election? Or we didn't really watch it. And we wanted to just continue to have, a high vibe and frequency and just getting to a timeline where we knew what the outcome would be. But, you always have in your mind, what if it don't happen? And I really do think this was, I guess every election they say this is the most consequential election ever, but this truly was. Yeah. And this is the first time in my life that I felt that America was really on the line because of its fragile state. And I think if America goes, then the world goes, and we go into some chaos, I think. And so I think this really had consequential, the results would have been consequential if it would have went the wrong way. And I don't want to by any means, kind of discard people who didn't vote the same way that I would have voted or wherever they think I voted. I think we all need to come together as humans. I think we need to come together as the majority of people, really, and get together and just do what's best for humanity, for all of us. And I think this is definitely a step in the right direction. And for me, it's a bit overwhelming when I heard the results, because when you look at what our president had went through, between the impeachments, right, and between getting shot, this much, and we are a far different nation.
2 assassination attempts.
2. Yeah. Well, one, you got to think, if he didn't look, he looked at a graph. Yeah. And if he didn't, his kids were right there, would have saw him be splattered on TV. Okay. No, but serious, how his kids were right there. That's and when you see what he went through, he got up, and the fight, I think truly embodies America. And that hits me really deep because, since I was a kid, it was always about America fighting and Americans, what we stand for. So anyway, I'm truly happy in kind of where we're at. And I think that we can really go in a good direction. And I really just hope that we do, like Lisa says, hold heart space for everybody. And, and make sure they know we do have space for them. And so we can all together grow as the human race and not be separated and fight amongst each other anymore.
Yeah, I think, for me, at least during this time, it was like we did our part, we voted, and then we just set it down and we decided to go to Sedona a day before we were going to see you. It was actually election day, when the majority of people would be casting their votes, and we didn't look at it all day. We just decided we're going to stay in the energy of Sedona, enjoy ourselves. Yeah. We kept ourselves busy all day. And just kind of went and we're out in nature and did some other things which were really cool. We're going to talk about. That's what I really want to talk about. Yeah. But that one, we'll do that one on another show when we talk about our trip to Sedona and post it. But then we knew we were coming here to see you, and we went to bed that night. We didn't even look. Yeah. We woke up in the morning and found out.
We let off fireworks. You did. We don't have stuff like that back home. Yeah, you would have to go to maybe Sydney Harbour, or you'd have to go to some kind of a fair where it's government regulation. Like, this is a different world for me. Literally, it's like being in a different planet at times.
Wow, that's incredible. It's hard for me to imagine, because I guess being here in America is kind of great. We figure all the stuff that we feel like we're being suppressed. A little more freedom, yeah, and we feel like we're being suppressed, but when people are really being suppressed, or, like she said, businesses being taken.
Oh, yeah, it's terrible.
Is got to be, I mean, that's got to be, how do you express yourself through that? That's got to be rough.
Yeah, I woke up that next morning and it was probably like 4, which I've been doing. But I woke up and I looked, and our son Nick had sent me a text, and it was Trump won. And I kind of woke up and looked, and I started looking at Facebook just to see what people had been posting. And I felt like, and I even posted something about it, but I felt like I went to bed and I had no idea, and I woke up on a higher timeline.
Yeah.
And it just felt like, okay, everything's going to be good.
Yeah.
Perfect timing for seeing you guys too. The morning after.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the morning. Yeah. That's right. And and a big thing too is, Nick being well, he was deployed and he was recently sent back. He came back to the States, but he kind of went into the military knowing Trump was going into the presidency, and seeing how they were saying that he would be the president of starting World War III, and he had the codes and what are you going to do, and his temperament is this and that, and he was the most peacetime almost president in how long now? No new wars. He almost relative peace in the Middle East, which hasn't happened in I don't know how many decades or centuries. I mean, they've been warring for a long time, and he just really was opposite. And it was so nice to have somebody who not only rebuilt the military but didn't use it, just used its might to create peace.
Look what he did in the Arab nations.
That's what that's what the Abraham Accords.
About it, right?
Yeah. And now, with Nick finishing out, not having to worry about if he's going to be in some meaningless war to get killed somewhere for no reason. Now having a Trump in there where he can finish his military contract out the right way, and it's still, I mean, is I guess always a risk, but it's just if anybody has a kid in the military, you always wonder, God forbid I get the call, because their trainings are dangerous, everything is dangerous, but having a leader who you feel like is so pro-military and so pro-America and really just wants peace and of the all humankind like Trump does, is just, for me, I can sleep a lot better at night. So
I definitely feel better as a mom of a soldier. Now that he's there, I just feel like I'm going to be able to breathe a little easier. Like you said, anything can happen. He's a soldier.
Yeah.
But knowing that Trump's going to be there while Nick is finishing up, I feel like, okay, well, he's going to be okay. It's going to be good, And if he does find himself in a situation, I mean, it couldn't be helped, because it's not going to be frivolous.
Right. And that's all you can ask for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does feel like a deeper sense of peace with him. I know that was one of the first things when I saw you guys that I thought of too, was just that relief.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, because we're going to do our Sedona thing, but when you went to Sedona, you being very, very, very in tune, like Lisa is too, very in tune with the energies and this and what was your feeling when you first went into Sedona, and do you feel like you got downloads or upgrades, or what do you what'd you feel?
So it was my third time there. So I went originally 2018 with my kids, and even though we were just there overnight, my kids were just saying there's something magic about this place. So even for kids to say things like that, and it really in our trip through the states, I think we went through 8 states with the kids, and for them to say there's something magic, that just shows like on kids that are will sort of say, oh, I want to go home, or things like that. There's something special when you get to a place that.
That's right.
But there's that photo that I popped up on social media that had all the light coming in. So one of the tour guides, she took that photo of me, and we didn't realize till we got back into the car. She thought, she's like, playing around with the camera, and then we realized, like, when we got back to the car, that amazing rainbow and the wing type effect that was in there. But to me, I feel very closely connected to Uluru back in Australia when I'm in Sedona. Almost like if I could discover a cave or, maybe a portal or a vortex that would take me back home, beam me up. But you feel that there is a multidimensional connection to both areas. And, with the red rock, it has the glitter in it, which we don't really have in our red rock. So it's a different kind of magnetism or vortex. But one of the tour guides, she was describing that, with Sedona, the ley lines that meet and I think it was the magnetics of the iron in there. And then you've got the silica too, that it creates a magnetic energy vortex. And she said that there was a lady called Paige that originally went to Sedona and started to feel these vortex points. I think she said there was originally 4. And she said actually the people, the native people to there, I think it was, they didn't live there. And I think there was Navajo connection there. I'm not sure if it's pretty close to Hopi as well, but she said no one actually lived there. So that's the same thing with Uluru. We didn't actually have different tribes that lived in Uluru. It was a place of ceremony or, over here to have your powwows and gatherings. So yeah, it's a really interesting thing that some of these vortex points, they're really high frequency and energy to live on. But she said the native people call Sedona one giant vortex. So it's not that there's, even though you'll feel different sort of strong points. I know the airport one, I think, was one of the first ones I went to another time. That was quite strong. Bal Rock was a little bit softer, but, still really beautiful. And I just like to go into silence and meditation. I do feel perhaps Uluru is a different energy still. It does feel a little bit more alien or a little bit more ET in a way. And I think just because it's the only thing when you look for miles and miles around and you see this big giant rock that's 10 times bigger underground. And then you see Katajuda that's still a few kilometers away, maybe like 10 or 15. And there's meant to be a big U-shaped rock connecting the two. And there's a Pleiadian story that goes with Uluru that it was a giant, it was a giant arrowhead that got thrown to Earth from the Pleiades to terraform and put all the trees and the life forms for Earth or like seeds put into that arrowhead. But yeah, it's something I encourage everyone to go to Uluru and Katajuda if you can. It's incredible if you're flying over in a plane or a helicopter to kind of get that area.
The area view you can see.
And for me, Katajuda holds an extra special energy because it has different portals and different energies that I see because I see auras. So, for me, I see violet gateways and doorways more at Katajuda, and it's the divine feminine, whereas Uluru's more masculine. But I do feel that there is stargates, and there's certain points in the rocks where there was one place my partner and I were at in May, I think it was, and what we felt was there was a rock area, and we just felt like it was an interdimensional place near a water area where you could probably disappear and go into another realm if you weren't careful. So, you feel a bit trepidatious in a couple of areas. And there's another sacred area where you say certain Aboriginal words and water will just come in the middle of the desert running down the rock into a sacred water pool. And yeah, so
that's gotta be beautiful.
That was incredible. It's like magically turning on this tap with your words. So I think there's a sacred connection to our souls and our spirit that we're forgotten. And I feel like being drawn to these PowerPoints, there's uploads and downloads that we're getting going to Sedona. There's a reason that we're drawn there. And I feel like going to Monument Valley as well and connecting to my Navajo connection and family, it's like gathering little parts of my soul back. And Sedona's just, it's magic. There's a reason we're drawn there. It's a really similar feel to Byron Bay, but instead of beach, you've got desert.
That's interesting. I said that too. I felt it right away when we went. And then, of course, was telling him, we have to move here. We have to move here. So someday that's what I'm trying to manifest is that we got to get our youngest Gigi through high school. And then I would like to find our way there.
That's got to be incredible. How incredible just to live somewhere to feel that all the time. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
And so, again, this is for me, I tell her, sometimes I look at it and I feel it's like a little surreal for me because I don't think I would have wasted a minute talking about anything like this. And how many years ago? A handful of years ago, maybe, to talk about energies and magical. And my friends would have abused me, number one. That would have been crazy. My Brooklyn friends. like, what is happening with you? But once you feel it, and once you start to open yourself up a little bit, and you start to feel it, it is what it is. And either you have the courage to stand in it and say it, or you kind of wilt away, and then hopefully one day you'll have the strength to get the courage back. But having someone like Lisa by my side is great, because she stands strong in it, and so it gives me a way to do the same. And so that's awesome. And then friends like you, who have my respect and admiration, and I feel very, very blessed to have you in our lives. It just kind of catapults us forward a little at a time, and so it does make it easier. So I feel like I probably have a little bit of a handicap moving forward. Like I got a little bit of a head start because of that. So I'm grateful for that, because when you live, you can see some of the frequencies and stuff, and you can feel you're raising yourself up. It's just nice being positive. It's nice being in this frame of mind all the time, and not feeling like you're getting kind of bombarded with negative, because you're just moving in a different timeline or vibration, whatever you want to call it. But again, I have somebody who every time I go down there, she picks me right back up, which is really fantastic. Cool. But like I said, and having both of you together is amazing, because the amount of
we have had some amazing stuff when we're together. And I was telling her, I was telling Sol, I always get more like around you. It's kind of incredible.
Thank you. And I think like the download I'm getting from Spirit right now too is a lot of what we're discovering or getting drawn to these places is definitely part of like our soul mission and connected, and even certain places that I was drawn to and have traveled over the many years, like coming to the States too. I didn't realize that it was actually connected to my ancestry and to family. And, some of these places I find out there's connections to the ant beings. And, as a kid, I'm having experiences with ant beings. There's a photo of one in a picture with my grandfather that was part Navajo. And so I think we're really just discovering more about who we are. And I think, together we are amplified. It does help enhance our gifts. And it was funny when I met you for the first time yesterday too, and you're like, oh, there's something really different about
it's very true.
It was so funny.
It's true. And what I started to do is, instead of holding back, I just say, if I'm feeling it, I just like say it. And sometimes she'll say like, I don't know if it's appropriate, because if I say the wrong thing, but I realize
it's not the wrong thing. It's just the way you put. Sometimes I'm like
the way I put things, because of But
it's the Brooklyn.
Just the Brooklyn in me.
We call it Brooklynese.
Yes, but so I just I'll just say it. But one of the things that I wanted to ask you too is that with the ant being. So when I did my thing with Barry, so when I was being on the ship is one of the things that I saw, but an ant being was up there, and so was a mantis. But the mantis was kind of more doing more telepathy, trying to help the people out, like kind of heal themselves because of some of the trauma they've been through, right? But the ant being was more of a nurturing, but it didn't look like part human with the it like looked like just a big ant. But it was more feeling and kind of healing the mental part of it, and making them feel love and where to go and stuff like that, and doing that type of healing. So what I wanted to ask you is that what your connection with the amping is that what they do, or they do something different? I don't know if I'm wrong or right.
I feel like you're right on with the experiences I've had too. So there feels like, and I've heard stories of, when they talk about the ant beings taking the people underground to save, when there's been like the mud floods and, the floodings and things that have happened, it was that they talk from a space of heart. So if you think about ants, just the little ones crawling around, they work for the collective and the good of everyone. And that's what I've noticed with my interactions with them. And the earliest memory I remember is age 4. With the connection with ant beings. And I did feel, even though things are scary when you're a kid and you're telling your parents you're having things happen, or you're like, there's something in my room, and they come in and they don't see anything. And, years later, you capture things on camera, or you capture UFOs and things, and you're able to kind of give a bit more evidence. But when you're a little kid, you don't really have the vocabulary to explain it. So that's where regressions are so helpful to pull the pieces together and to be able to cognize it a lot more. But yeah, my experiences were, they were more heart-based, and it was a heart-based kind of telepathy. And they would teach me about how to use my gifts. And I feel like that they were sort of guiding me in keeping things awakened, or working with, different abilities and different senses. Whereas the mantras for me have always been a little bit more scientific, or a bit more connected to the hybrid. And it's not that they don't have feeling or emotion, because they do. And people will have negative and positive with the mantras. Mine have always been positive, but they do oversee a lot of hybrid things. And they do have other groups of ETs, like the Ashanai, which are these, I haven't heard anyone else talking about them, but for me, with my mantis interactions, I will sometimes see like a giant orb that's connected with hybrid programs. They do work with healing and regeneration. And yeah, there's just like a telepathic communication.
So what, and just so what I verbalized to Barry was like what I was doing and I wasn't talking to the mantis beings. It's everything is telepathy. And while I was doing that, I said, but the weird thing about it is I was driving the ship through telepathy. That's how the ship was moving. But all the people, the humans that were gathered, I was telling them, not that they were bad or good, but they were a little bit colder in their interaction, scientific. And I was saying, watch how you talk to them. Don't be so. They just been through a lot, so be easy as you're doing it. I don't want to hear this, don't be so, matter of fact about things, because right now they're broken and we need to fix them. And, it was just, as I'm talking to Barry, I'm going, am I nuts? Like, because this is a feeling that I'm getting that. And so when you said that, when you were just saying, like, it's not like they're like bad or good. It's just they have almost like an indifference because they're scientific.
Yeah.
And very, very, very very smart, going and the way they do things. But it was like I was saying, like, all right, ease up, because they need a little compassion now. Like, don't be so robotic almost. Yeah. But that's when she said that. That's exactly what I was telling Barry.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
That's cool.
And it's interesting. There's things that I've had happen that I haven't shared, where and I probably won't go into it all until I'm ready. But there's different things in going to some of these places that, some of the different tribes, and when you look at how the ant beings would take people underground, and that there is mixture of ET blood that's also within us, because we come from some of these places and ancestry. And yeah, you'll see different things of like characteristics come out from time to time in certain people. And I know you were seeing that with some of our friends and things too, that you'll see like overlays, or you'll see part of like their heritage and soul connection. And yeah, you're amazing. You both are. And I'm just so grateful to have you as friends and that we get to be here in person.
It's been amazing. Yeah. You came a year ago, I guess. Was it a year?
Yeah.
And we got to spend time together then, and Johnny couldn't come with me. Like you said, we had Emma and our other son, Nick, here with us. And so this year, when we found out you were coming, I said to him, I'm like, you're going? He's like, absolutely going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And we've got a similar sense of humor. We found out Aussies and people from Brooklyn.
Yes, very sarcastic.
And I've got my mouth open, and these two are just cracking up.
Yeah.
The first thing when we went back to the hotel room, I was telling Lisa, I was like, I'm so happy she gets my humor. Thank God, because otherwise people go like this. They look at me and they don't get it, and she's like, no, he don't mean that. He means this, because she'll like, you didn't fix it. You said that, and then you got up and walked away. And you didn't fix it, and then she has to be there and be like, no, he didn't mean that. He really is a great father. He would never do that to our kids. So
yeah, no, we get it. It's similar sense.
So it was good. It was really good to connect and realize that when you do feel a connection, it's something that you should cherish, because when you do meet someone in person, like that, it just enhances it. It's not, do we have that connection? It's like, no, we do have it, and it just like kind of builds on that bond and hearing, when Lisa and Nick and Emma met you last time, they came back and they were raving about you. And so I was like, I bet she's the first person who I said, that's a fairy. That's a fairy, right? As soon as I was like, wow. And you've always been so gracious with your time and explaining everything step by step to us or me when we were doing our reading, right? She was really, really generous with that. So just really all heart. And like I said, just how she come across on camera, she's one of the few that does come across like that in like she's a real person. She's actually a wonderful person. So it's great to see.
Thank you. That's so sweet.
Yeah, it's funny is on the heels of going to Sedona and having an incredible experience there for both of us, different but profound.
Yes.
And then getting to come and kind of be with you afterwards. And we talked about your energy a little bit before, and you said you've heard it from other people as well. But, there's this interesting like vibration that she kind of carries with her. And it's very uplifting, but you feel it immediately. It's kind of like you got into the car and he was like, whoa, like right from the beginning. The people just walked in, so it's a little loud, but that kind of starts to happen. And then anyway.
Yeah, so that's what you call unnecessarily loud for no reason.
Oh.
And so we'll let that go.
Oh.
And stay high vibe. Thank you. Go ahead, babe.
Anyway, then going into that and having it be, that kind of energy and kind of getting to continue it. Because even when we left Sedona, we could feel it.
Yeah.
You could feel the difference.
Yeah, that was incredible when we were just driving by. And even the color, right? The color of the rock and mountains was different. It was really, what a difference. I'm trying to stay patient where I don't get up and, staying high vibe.
You're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Thanks. I don't know if you can notice that there's some sweat happening because my nerves are twisting.
All right, we're going to move on from that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so then getting to kind of come in, then we got to hang out with our other friend that's here. And so that was fun. We got to kind of do that. And some really interesting, like psychic kind of stuff was happening while we were here. So that was kind of cool.
You were picking up a lot. You were seeing like beyond the veil and into other dimensions. That was so cool.
But it was funny because that happened last time I was with you too. It doesn't happen with everybody. It does happen.
Yeah.
And sometimes once you get that turned on, it's hard to turn it off because it just, at least for me, I just kind of stay in that. I have to learn to disconnect a little bit more, I think, sometimes, because I was exhausted last night when we got home, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely an energy dump.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was interesting to kind of, be in that energy and kind of be able to continue with it, after we left Sedona and to kind of before we're going to go home. So. Yeah.
Did you ever notice too and I never, I guess I never paid it. I didn't think it was like this, but masculine and the feminine energies. And the first time I heard it verbalized, the way it would work, like in and out of the earth, was when Katie had said that on the sacred sites, and recently when you came to Sedona for Odyssey Sedona. But I never realized the difference until we went to. She sent me the 5 different vortices, right? The different, or the ones that we can go see, right? You sent me a little blurb on each of them, and she was like, "So choose one, and that's where we'll go." So I chose Bell Rock.
Oh, beautiful.
And it was a masculine energy and stuff. But when we went up there, I told her, I was like, wow, you actually, it's very palpable where you feel it. And when you take it in, you can actually feel it, and as I was walking, I felt, you feel the confidence start to rise, assertiveness start to move forward in you. And instead of feeling a laid back energy, it's more of an energy where I was leaning into it. I felt my shoulders leaning forward, and I felt like it's hard. Well, I'm explaining it, so I guess it's not hard to explain, but it's hard to believe that it had that effect on me. And it's something where I feel like if you experience it, I feel like it is definitely transformative to whether you're the most lay person, which is where I was, to as you start to open up your field to it and your perception to what's actually out there and just open your mind a little bit. I feel like it's definitely something that it's transformative. No matter what level you're at, it'll transform you to something higher and higher and higher. And if you allow yourself to be open, whether it's a feminine energy or a masculine energy, you realize it's just the same, different sides of the same coin. And to have that balance is really what the goal is. It's not just to be, masculine energy or feminine energy. I find strength in both.
Yeah.
But when you individualize it and you kind of go to one or the other, I cannot believe that you can actually feel that difference. And I thought that was incredible.
That's cool.
Were you kind of able to like have a similar thing with him, or what were you getting out of the Sedona energies?
Yeah, so one of the spots I went to, I can't think of the name of it. It was like off the beaten track and one that really was not as public. And the lady that we were on tour with, Charlie, so if you guys Google for Charlie, and so she took us to a spot and talked about what is it that you want to embody. And when you look out onto, the rock, and you look into the valley and things, what is it that it inspires with you? And it's this, expansion type feel and this like magical magnificence. And she was talking about that's really a reflection for what we hold within us. And then the second point that she took us to was near the stupa area, where there's Tibetan prayer wheels and flags and things. And she said, and now this is sort of, for some people, it will bring things up, whether it's bringing up things that they need to let go of, or for some people, it'll bring up anger and, other things that are, things that they need to relax on or let go of. So it was really interesting just looking at those 2 points. I know with the airport vortex that I felt like I was being pulled into the ground. It was really quite a charging experience. And there was even, I think, a little sign as you're getting further up to that point, just saying, if you feel like you're going to fall or you feel like you're going to jump. And that's the vortex energy actually making you feel that way, because there's some will pull you down into like the connection with the earth, and some that will kind of lift you up into the heavens. So each point was different, but Bell Rock, there was like a flattened off platform that had little rock piles stacked. I was saying to my friend, I'm like, it looks like a stage up there. So, we just laid down and you can feel the energy of the earth kind of holding you. But yeah, in some of these places, it's like the mountains speak to you. I know you and I talked a lot about mountains speaking to us, and it's the same in Uluru. You feel there's a different kind of, I don't know if it's like an ancestral connection, for me back home with Uluru too, where you feel that like you can almost hear like the whispers of the ancestors talk to you when you're there. In certain areas, you'll feel grandfather or grandmother energy, or the masculine and feminine in certain places. Because genetically we've still got some connections way back. So it's just been, each place is incredible. You could probably even be in the hotel and still experience. But I do feel like with these places, and you see it back home in Byron Bay, which is a mountain built on crystal that goes, down into the beach.
That's got to be powerful.
The rainforest and that, it's intensely powerful. So people either go there to be healed or to become healers. So if you are to stay there for a long amount of time, you can either go crazy or become like a master healer. And I think it's the same in Sedona. There's that feeling of sometimes the energy can be too much for some. And if you're not balanced and grounded within yourself, it can kind of tip you over the edge into...
Wow. So what's awesome is because I'm already crazy, I think I just have being a healer, I'll be a master healer, right?
You better get like the headband to go with it.
Actually, one of the people that we met that for one of the things that we're going to talk about, but was a local that lived there, and she actually said something very similar during that sometimes the energies for Sedona can be a little too much for some people. If you're not ready for it, you can drive you a little crazy. So yeah, literally almost the same thing.
Interesting. And I wonder if that's also like the silica that's in the rock. And when you look at the iron with the red, you've got that magnetic and the crystal together. And I know that those places attract UFOs. And I know the first time I was in Sedona, coming through, I think it was just on dusk, and at nighttime, UFOs above the car. So yeah, my kids saw it, friends saw it. It was amazing. So I think these places do attract the UFOs.
The different things.
Places with mineral springs, gold in the ground, iron ore, so like the red rock and
that's things that we don't know the real, not value of, but the real importance of it, or like maybe the real significance of it, where look what it's attracting, and we have it here, and it's very rudimentary what we think about it or what we use it for, and it's really way more complex, or there's way more significance to it than what we believe, what we know.
And a lot of bases, I think, hidden in some of these areas. And what you would call almost like airport hangars and things. And I know it's the same back home with some of these places too. We see UFOs over the same sorts of things.
Yeah, Tyler talked about that a little bit too, bases and underground bases and stuff in Sedona. And it's more prevalent than you realize.
Grand Canyon, sorry to interrupt. Monument Valley, you could feel stuff. But there was an amazing tour guide. I don't know his last name, but if you type in John, and I think it was the ET connection, he talks about some of these caves and also the ancient Egyptian connection. That's an amazing tour.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I think they just found. So I probably should have researched it before I bring this up, but it's either Montana or Wyoming, and I think I sent it to you. Is that kid who did a short, or that man, he did a short and saying that, oh, they found underground it's a metal. It's like magnesium or something like that. It's and it's used for very specific things. And it's supposed to be like massively valuable, far more than gold and stuff like that. And they said that there was a fire in Wyoming, maybe a mile or two down the road. Now all of a sudden there's a fire down there, and things were going on, kind of intimating that there was a
larger reason.
Some
like North Carolina,
some upper, some 3-letter agencies doing some or whatever. That's very suspicious that, they just found this, and the people who found this, all of a sudden now there's this going on over here and the distraction over here, and so there's stuff that we don't even know about that. Sure. But when you see something like this, I mean, like something like that we find in the ground, like I feel like there are so many things now that are going to be exposed.
There's a new crystal that's being found too. I think it's on an island. I can't remember what it is. I wish I knew the name of it. I think I found it the other day. But when you think about like even the crystals that are found, and you look into like the properties, and I love my crystal bracelets. You guys got me too. I love them. But it's interesting because when we shift to a different level of consciousness, we're going to get different tools. So I wonder if there's a certain kind of
that's interesting.
A certain connection with those particular metals, and maybe we can actually use it in certain ways to enhance gifts and abilities. I mean, of course, it'll probably be used in tech somehow, and not used to like its full extent. Yeah,
that's really interesting, and it makes sense that all of a sudden you would find these things that you can utilize. It's like understanding aspects of things that have been here forever. We just didn't realize the importance of it. Like you were saying, some of those things are coming. And Dr. Lana Morrow was actually talking about some of that stuff was with hieroglyphics and things that were going on in Egypt that people are able to discern now. Been looking at it forever, but now all of a sudden they're looking at it with new eyes and understanding it in a new way.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's incredible stuff. And you feel like there's people like Elon Musk around, and there's these like brilliant people that keep telling us they're ETs. Right? He goes, I'm an alien. So maybe sometimes when people tell you something, maybe you should believe it a little bit. But no, but you have brains like that, around, and he was in the picture with President Trump and his family after the win. Like he was like in the picture holding, I don't know if it was one of President Trump's kind of grandkids or maybe his kid. I'm not sure, but
maybe his,
yeah, it could be. But the point being is that I think he's bringing people in his circle that are very, very smart, that are going to start to uncover things that we would consider finally we're getting some exposure, or when they when we find out some things, but also with RFK. Is coming, and I didn't realize that, but what John was saying, that the pineal gland needs to be
they're going to take the fluoride out of the water to help wake people up.
So
do you guys have that there too?
Yeah, and sometimes you'll smell the chlorine that they put into the water so strong coming out the tap, it smells like a swimming pool.
Wow.
So we always drink filtered water or spring water. Yeah, it's one of the most important things you can do in this spiritual war that's going on.
Yeah, and do you want to know one thing? So there was a company that I worked with way back when, called Equinox, and it was all about environmental products. So everything that he did was environmental. So he was someone who I really looked up to back then, and the company was explosive and huge. He's very, very successful, but he wasn't. and he became very successful. But he said, when you want to get a goal, he goes, it should be so big it scares the shit out of you, right? That was his thing. And so he was in the shower, he had an epiphany. He wants to save the earth. And he said, what bigger goal is that? So everything he did, from laundry detergent to breath spray to toothpaste to everything was like that, right? So he did a whole water system. And so what he did was he came out with studies on the water. And when people take like extremely hot showers with steam, with all the chlorine in it, you know what that is in gas form, right? So chloroform, you know what that becomes, right? That's what they use in the gas chambers. So there was a woman who, back then, there was this, and he had the article, a woman who had passed away back then. She was a young woman, and they thought she was an Olympic swimmer because of the massive amount of chlorine that was embedded in her skin and in her body. And come to find out, she was nowhere near an Olympic swimmer. She wasn't a swimmer. She probably went in the pool as much as you or I do, right? So it wasn't a lot, but she took 4 to 5 steaming hot baths and shower, like in a day, like she was one of those. And so all that was embedded in her was all this, and it almost looked like if she was in a gas chamber. That's how much it was. I mean, it's, when you think about it, that's crazy. And if you look at the chlorine in our water, you can test it with a pool tester. Yeah. And that was one of the things I had to do because I was selling the water filter systems. And so I would, you drop the dropper in, and you would see how it would, it would go, and it would be just as, if you were going in that pool, you wouldn't go in. You would have to tell your kids, wait a day, we have to fill it up with some water so it don't burn your eyes. It's going to be too much.
Bottled water too.
Yeah. So it's, I just thought that was, it just woke, certain things wake you up to some things. And it was crazy how dirty the water was and what we shower in. Yeah. You come out of the pool of chlorine and then you shower in chlorine. Yeah. To get the chlorine off you. I don't know. So, I don't know, just made me think about that. And I just thought it was just incredible when you hear things like that. And who I would have never put the two together, taking a hot shower, and I just would have never thought that. And he came up with so many things like that, and testing the water and stuff. So, and then you start to hear when people did speak about that, moving forward, they were kind of labeled as crazy. Yeah. And that's crazy to think that it's conspiracy and you're this and that. But I never gave it a second thought. But
I guess we're going to be shifting into a definite new timeline if everyone's going to have decalcification happening in the pineal glands. Yeah. And, it'd be like Sleeping Beauty, waking up.
Yeah. So it'd be incredible. I think it's going to be a lot of
it's a really exciting time. It is. I think with everything that's, happening now, we were talking about, like, we just got to keep everybody safe until January. Yeah. And then it's kind of like, where we can go and what we can do, and how quickly things can change based on how quickly they changed last time. It's kind of exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. And, the only thing, so me and Solreta were talking about, because she was just talking about how good of a shot she is. And we're saying that what would be nice if someone did try to do something stupid, just don't hurt our president, but maybe just if you clip this ear to make it congruent, that would be a nice gesture.
Sorry, I don't know what to even say anymore. I try to give him looks so he'll stop, and he just keeps going. I can't make him stop. I don't know.
You're keeping it high vibe with the laughs.
Yeah. I'm trying to,
This is this is John. I don't know.
I'm just talking about for me. That would be good for me, not for anybody else. I would want it to be even.
But going out shooting, you know what it made me realize? I think because the first attempt was like maybe 140, 150 yards. With how easy it is with me going in and doing that for the first time, like doing my shooting, and I was shooting a little bit under 5 times that length and hitting it. That's really, it's the hand of God coming in to protect. Even though it feels like there's 2 things happening. I feel like there was things that were happening where people were in the know, and a little bit of perhaps like a cover-up type thing. Like, I guess the agents and that were around him were kind of, I mean, we saw that one woman who couldn't get the gun back in the holster. Yeah. some of them look like actors, but then at the same time, I do feel like there is a deeper veil of protection. We see that with the hurricanes and things too. And we were all collectively, especially for our friends in Florida,
that was beautiful,
really praying. And I know I was holding the vision, as were a lot of my friends and clients, because we were all communicating, going, let's hold that vision up, the sun, the rainbow in the sky, and let's like be in this moment of receptivity and gratitude for like, okay, everyone's safe. This is a miracle. And it's hard because we see North Carolina and we see Mexico and other places that have also been devastated. So I think, if anything is to happen again, we've really got to also shift and hold that attention and focus to keep everyone safe. I think we're shifting it. I think we are on that timeline of creation. And I think with the next couple of months, we need to keep holding that bubble of protection and keep standing in that rejoicing over things shifting and changing. And I think it's going to happen fast. When it does, I think we're ready for it.
Yeah, it's exciting. And you're right. Just like watching some of the things that we've already done in terms of the hurricane and things like that. And then, shifting. I really believe we just shifted a timeline and we did that. That was our co-creation. And it wasn't just Americans, it was humanity looking for something different and better and realizing that, we could go into a place of a higher vibration where humans stepped back into power and not having a hierarchy so much. And I think, and we did it, we all did it. So this is an exciting time. Miraculous. I'm glad that you were here for it and to kind of witness kind of what it was like to be in this energy and this space. It's an exciting time.
It is. I keep hearing the words, the spell has been broken, the dark dream spell, just over and over and over. And it feels it. And I think I was supposed to be here for it when it all went down.
And that's all. What an awesome time, that you chose. And one thing that popped through at me, like the first, right when you were saying that, was don't wait for a hurricane to come to send protection out and clear. And I know, my better half does that all the time. She's always sending protection out. She's always sending love to me. She's always, to our kids, to everybody, to our neighbors, to everybody. And but when you look at it, just when President Trump is going to give a speech to give protection, it should be in our daily when we protect everybody, and we want to send that out, because if we continue to do that and get in that habit, just think of what we did in that single situation, like this hurricane. The hurricane is coming in, could have hurt someone we love, but if we can deal in that same power and protect people, I think it'll even wake people up, because they'll have to even start to admit that was miraculous. This is not luck anymore. Something had to be, you know what I mean? And I think that starts to, open up their heart space for us as well. Just like we need to keep space for them, they need that space for us. And I think that would be a great thing to do if we always lived in that.
Yeah,
definitely.
All right. So the video ended abruptly because our wireless mics went out of juice. So they went dead. It was like the last 40 seconds. And basically it was our, saying goodbye and hugging, and which is how we knew they were out, because we saw the lights out after we were hugging. So it was a long goodbye, but it was about 40 seconds of that. But we just want to, finish up with you guys and let you know what happened. So
and it really was just the wind up of everything, but it was really lovely having her and being able to just spend so much time with her and talk with her. And it was really interesting to kind of get her take on some of the things that are happening, here, and that she was here for to witness.
So she was here for Halloween, and then she was here for the election. And it's so funny when you hear the difference in Halloween, and then what she thought about it was really cool.
She was saying that. But anyway, so thank you for watching that with us, and we're happy to have been able to have that time with her. And don't forget that you can see her on YouTube's Solreta Antaria, and also on Maison Jupiter. And
just also, if you put in the comments, I'd be really interested to see what you guys think of, someone who wasn't, born here in America, but really loves our country and loves her country, Australia. And that's really evident, but just her take on it. So I would love to hear what you guys think. If you can put it in the comments, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so please like, share, and subscribe to Deep Dives in the Desert. And we will be doing another video soon that will kind of cover our entire trip to Arizona. We did a lot more than just, you know, that day that we got to hang out, or 2 days that we got to hang out with Sol. So we'll share a little bit more about that as well.
Yeah, and I just wait till you guys hear, you know, about Sedona, and I cannot wait to go back already. It was amazing, and I can't wait to share it with you guys.
Yeah, and we have some more pictures that we can share too from our time with Sol. So thank you, everyone, and we will talk to you again soon.
Bye.
Bye.